Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of On the Mark. I'm your host, Mark Brantley, and tonight, as always, we hope to have something that you find interesting. We thank you for joining us, the people here on Nevis, those on St. Kitts, those who are listening throughout the Caribbean, and those who are listening even farther afield. We want to say good evening to our friends and family in the United States and Canada, the United Kingdom, and elsewhere, where we know we have quite a considerable listenership. In the UK, you're some 4 hours ahead, but I know many of you stay up to listen to the show on Wednesdays, so I want to thank you for doing so. This, of course, is VON Radio, the voice of Nevis, the Eastern Caribbean's only powerhouse, 860 on your AM dial, and www.vonradio.com. Of course, we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube, and so we thank all of you who have joined us, whatever your medium is. Thank you for being here. Now, tonight we have a lot to talk about, but we have some very special guests who are here for the first time, and so we're going to introduce them. They're going to be with us for about half an hour or so, and then I'll get into some of the other issues that I have to discuss. So let us start then by allowing you to introduce yourselves and to tell the audience why you're here. And welcome to On the Mark. I think it's the first time for all of you. So can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, good evening to the listening audience. My name is Serena Brown, and I am a teacher working along with the Literary and Debating Society of the Nevis Sixth Form College.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dewey Stanley, and I'm the president of the Nevis Literary and Debating Society.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Tiana Williams, and I'm the vice president of the Nevis Literary and Debating Society.
So my first question, you said sixth form, but my daughter debated when she was in third form. So how is that possible? Is it only open to sixth formers, or can other students in the school be a part of the Literary and Debating Society?
Actually, it's also open to secondary school students. We said the Nevis Sixth Form College because it's an extracurricular activity put on by the Nevis Sixth Form College. But of course, if students display the ability to be a part of the LDS, we also open it to them in secondary schools as well.
Okay, excellent. All right, so if there's some good debaters in third form, fourth form, first form, they could be a part of your group as well. Good.
Yes,
now, tell us a little bit about the Leeward, the Literary and Debating Society. How long have you been in existence? What do you do? How do you raise money? Tell us something about your society, your organization.
Well, we're mainly a debating society put on to help people with public speaking. And we help people, also those who don't want to public speak. You could do the researching skills, the people who help to create the debates themselves. And we fundraise by selling popcorn and bake sales throughout the school to fund the Leeward Island debating competition next year.
So, do you accept donations from businesses and individuals to help your cause?
Yes, we do.
You do?
Of course, we do.
All right, excellent. Well, I'm hopeful that they're here tonight, and so people open up your checkbooks and assist you. Now, you, of course, participate in the Leeward Islands debating competition. That's an annual fixture. You have won several times that competition. I recall that when many years ago, was in sixth form, that Nevis had quite a good team. I wasn't a part of the good team, but we had a good team. And we were champions for quite some time. And I think in more recent years, you have repeated, I think, as champions more than once, I believe, as Nevis. So where are we now in terms of the Leeward Islands debating competition? Are you still participants in that competition?
Yes. Next year, February and late February into March.
And where will the competition be next year?
It'll be held in St. Kitts.
St. Kitts, okay. All right. Okay, so of course your colleagues, no doubt, in St. Kitts are preparing for you to come over. Now, how do you go about selecting your team? How does it work? And how many members are on your team normally?
Okay, so the Literary and Debating Society, we meet on Fridays. So it's as we said, it's an extracurricular activity. So during classes, at the end of classes on Fridays, the students would meet, and we give students the opportunity to express their desire to be part of the debating aspect, because as Dewis would have said, the Literary and Debating Society is a mixture of different activities, whether it's researching or fundraising. So we give them an ability to the opportunity to try out. So from the tryouts, that's where we're able to determine who is going to represent us at the LIDC competition.
Okay. So, Ms. Williams, you're the vice president. You've been very quiet. Are you one of the debaters? Are you one of the researchers? Are you a fundraiser? What's your role?
Well, I'm mainly a debater.
You're mainly a debater.
Yes.
Okay, I like the sound of that. All right. Well, I think debating is important. I think that, as you say, for public speaking, I find a lot of our people generally, not just the youth, but a lot of our people shy away. I can't begin to tell you how many people, senior, even well-educated people in the community, would text me something and say, when you go on the mark, could you talk about this? And I say, why don't you call in? No, I don't want nobody hear me. I don't like public speaking. But I think it's very important. It's the ability to express yourself, and to express yourself privately and publicly. It's clearly important. And I think people need to recognize that it's a skill set that you develop over time.
Yes.
People listen to this show, for example, on the mark, and they say, oh, you're on the mark and whatever. I never bring notes to the show. It's always just an attempt to refine and hone my craft. Every time I come here, I come without notes, and I try to remember all that I need to speak about. Of course, sometimes when callers call in, you get sidetracked, but you try to stay on topic. And I think that that's important. Another thing that I find very important, and I find it incredibly annoying, when I hear people talking and they, right, yeah. After every sentence is yeah. And I'm saying, it just requires practice. And some people do it and they're not even aware that they're doing it, because it's just normal. So anyway, that's an aside. You have the Leeward Islands Debating Competition. How long now has that been in existence? Do you know?
It was 51 years.
51 years?
Yes.
Oh wow, long before you guys were around, for sure.
Very much so.
I think it was started by someone from Montserrat, if I recall.
Actually, George Irish, he was a tutor at the Montserrat Community College.
Okay, so tell us, what are you now preparing for? I'm told that tonight you came to tell us about some events that you're doing, and so give the public a sense of what you're preparing for, and frankly, how they can participate in your activities.
Well, we'll be hosting an in-house debate on Saturday, the 9th of December. That's this Saturday. And we'll be hosting 2 debates. We have 2 moods, and which is the topic that we will be debating. And the first one is volunteerism or community service should form part of the requirements for certification from the Nevis Sixth Form College. And the second one is social media is a leading cause of risky behaviors in youths today. So we'll be having that on Saturday, where you can come out at the Anglican Hall, St. Paul's Anglican Hall, to come and support our debaters.
Okay. Will you be debating, Ms. Williams?
Oh yes,
Yeah?
I'm debating the second topic.
Second topic,
social media.
That's a difficult topic,
Yeah.
It's what you said, the main cause of risky behavior
Social media is,
among youth.
Yes.
And that's interesting. We're not going to start the debate tonight. So how do you decide whether you're proposing or opposing? When are those teams are picked already?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you already know. So which side are you going to be on?
I'm the opposition.
Okay, I think that's a good side.
I'm opposition as well.
You're in opposition
for the
as well?
first mood.
For the first mood.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And I suppose your colleagues are prepared
Yes.
just as you're preparing. All right, so we have 2 debates on Saturday at what time?
7 p.m.
7 p.m. All right, and the format of the debates is what? You the main debater, and then you have a main speaker,
First
and then you have a
speaker,
seconder.
yes.
So the first speaker gets how much time?
10 minutes to speak.
Okay, and then the seconder gets
7 minutes.
7, and then the rebuttal is how long?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So you should be able to get in both debates in good
We're
time.
looking forward to see you there, Mr. Premier.
This Saturday? All right, I'll see. I'm interested very much in the second debate and what the young people are going to say about social media, because I'm a social media fanatic myself, and it's a space where you meet a lot of young people, and like everything in life, food, we need it to live, but if you overdo it or you do it in excess, it's bad. And everything in life is the same way. Social media is a very powerful tool, can be used for very good things, to share good information, to learn, but it can also be used for a lot of bad things. So it promises to be a very interesting debate indeed. Now, you are preparing, no doubt, for the Leeward Islands debating competition, which you say is going to be in late February next year. Do you already have the topics?
Yes, we had a topic about AI, artificial intelligence.
Okay.
We're going to go against Montserrat in the first round.
Uh-huh.
And what's the topic? It's about AI. We'll be proposing it.
So so it's something about artificial intelligence, and you're coming up against Montserrat.
Yes.
That's your first round. Okay, and of course I expect you're going to go to the finals.
Of course.
A sync is against Nevis finals would be very interesting. That would be very interesting. In sync kids, that really would be fun. But so tell us, so which are the islands or territories that are involved in the Leeward Islands debating competition?
Well, we have the British Virgin Islands, you have Antigua and Barbuda, we have St. Kitts and Nevis as a separate entity. And
Antigua and Barbuda separate as
No,
well?
I don't-
They're together, okay. Uh-huh.
And then we have Anguilla and Montserrat.
As well as St. Martin?
Yes, St. Martin.
Yes.
Okay, well, way back when, in my time, BVI and St. Martin were not participants. So I think we only had Montserrat, Anguilla, St. Kitts, Antigua, and Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis always fielded their separate teams. The rivalry was always quite interesting. So, good. So how have your preparations been going so far for your in-house debate? Ms. Williams, you ready?
Yes.
How things have been going for the debate?
Oh, it'll be a very interesting debate. I have my topics and my points very much ready, so.
Okay. And so you have a team with you that's assisting you with the research, or are you doing most of that yourself?
Well, I have Miss Brown assisting me with preparing prepare speech and rebuttals, and also other teachers that help along with the preparations.
Okay, good. And you're going to be the lead speaker, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, so you're carrying the load. Now, who decides? Whether the lead or the seconder does the rebuttal? Is it required that the lead person does the rebuttal?
Yes, it is.
Oh, really?
It is
Oh, okay.
stipulated in the.
Oh, it's stipulated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, back in again. I mean, I'm going way back, but we used to be able to choose who would do the rebuttal. So good, interesting. All right. So in terms of your fundraising, because nothing happens, and good ideas, no matter how good they are, you need support.
Definitely.
So, how much money do you need to raise? Do you have a sense of how much you need to raise in order to attend the Leeward Islands debating competition? This year it should be a little cheaper. You're only taking a boat this time to St. Kitts.
Yeah.
I know sometimes it requires airfare and all of that, but do we have a figure that you're aiming for in order to raise to be able to attend in St. Kitts? I know normally the team would just be 6 or so members? The actual team in terms of the debaters.
About 6 debaters, yeah.
6 debaters. Then you have the
Supporters.
The supporters.
Right. So you have the supporters, and there could be 100. There could be any number. All right. So do you know already what your arrangements are? I mean, February isn't very far away.
It isn't very far away, that is true, but we're still awaiting information on accommodation. So we're awaiting that, and then we'll be able to say exactly how much money we would need. However, we're encouraging businesses to be as generous as they would like in sponsoring us for the upcoming debates.
So the problem, of course, with the debating competition coming as it does in February is that February is also the height of the tourism season. So it exacerbates the cost because most of these islands who depend on tourism, that's when hotels are charging their premium rate. If you were having debates in May, for example, your rate would be considerably lower. Notwithstanding, I know it's been February, that's the date. I know, again, I keep going back in the day, but we used to stay in community centers and people's houses. We used to do all kinds of things. I suppose those days are over, so you're now staying in
It
hotels.
was a different time back then.
Yes,
I'm guessing it was much safer.
It
to
was.
stay.
It was a different time. But I assume, so you stay in hotels now? Is that
Yes.
the idea?
Yes.
Okay, so all of that will be the cost and meals and stuff over the weekend, right? Okay. So, are y'all going to win the Leeward Islands debating competition next year?
Of course.
Of course.
Bring the trophy home.
You're bringing the trophy home?
Yes, we are.
So you all know that Nevis would have won in 1985, 1991, 1992, 1995, 2000, 2004, 2011, 2017, 2019. Did we miss some here?
2024. We're going to have that.
I'm sorry?
We're going to have that in 2024.
2024. I was thinking that we missed something here because we were at 2017 and then 2019. I thought we had a repeat 1 year. I don't see a repeat here. I see 85, 91, 91 to 92. But I thought we had a repeat sometime in 2017 when young Roger Williams and those were there. I don't know. Maybe I got it wrong. But I thought we were back-to-back champions. But in any event, 2017, 2019, we didn't have any during COVID, I assume.
Right.
So there was no competition in 2020 or 2021. Those are the COVID years.
Yeah.
Last year, 2022, we did not participate, I don't think.
No.
Right. So where was the competition last year?
Last year, the competition was held in Antigua.
Antigua, and who won? So who are the defending champions now?
St. Martin.
St. Martin are defending champions. Okay, so you're coming up with, do you know if all the teams will be participating this time around?
We don't have that information as
Okay,
yet.
but Nevis definitely will be
Yes, definitely.
participating. Okay, good. Well, I was a little disappointed last year, I must say. I found out very late that Nevis was not participating. I didn't understand why. And I think the minister got some licks from us in cabinet over it. But I'm happy that you all are definitely preparing and intend to be there this year. Because I said last year, I wondered how come Nevis wasn't there. In fact, I didn't even know that the competition had restarted. And I think there weren't many teams in the competition last year. So hopefully this year we have a full turnout, and that we have all the teams, because I think the competition is a lot better when you have all the teams. And if you win, you feel much better because you have sort of won with the entire
Gives you
complement.
bragging rights.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. Good. So my desire, of course, is for you to do well. Now, I'm told that you're having a raffle. Can you tell us a bit about this raffle and what that's about?
Well, at the debate, we're going to have a raffle, for the audience to partake in.
So this is on Saturday. You're going to have a raffle. Is that what you're saying?
And so we're going to have people can buy tickets into the raffle.
So they buy the tickets where? When they attend the event on Saturday, or
Yes,
they
they
buy
can
them in
buy them,
advance?
They can buy them in advance. They can buy them at the event, but the actual raffle will be drawn on January 19th.
And what are the prizes to this raffle?
Tiana, you care to speak about the prizes?
Well, we have a $50 gas voucher. We also have a massage from Compassionate Touch, and we also have
Lunch.
yes, a lunch at Stella's.
Stellas. Okay, so you have
And
lunch.
the gas voucher is from Reliable
Reliable
Motors.
Motors.
I forgot to mention.
Okay, so those are donated, I hope.
Yes.
Okay, so we have gas, $50 worth of gas. We have a voucher for lunch at Stella's, and then we have massage, you say,
Massage,
Yeah.
at
Compassionate
Compassionate
Touch.
Touch. Okay, great. Now, if people want to contribute, who should they contact?
The Nevis Sixth Form College's office, you can call and you can tell them, registrar, that you want to donate to the Nevis Literary Debating Society.
Okay, that's the only way to
You
contribute
can also write a check to the Nevis Sixth Form College.
to the Nevis Sixth Form College. Okay, and so that's those are the ways to contribute to your effort. All right, great. Now, it would be good once you know what your budget is like for somebody to call back in perhaps to the show and let us know. I'm pretty sure we're going to raise some money for you. I feel fairly confident of that. And I myself would like to pledge something. I have to go and check now to see what I can pledge, but definitely
Thank you in advance.
I will be making a contribution.
Thank you very much.
We did in fact sometime in the past. We were lead sponsors to my law firm at the time, Daniel Brantley, but those were different times, I suppose, so but definitely I think you need to find maybe not one-off sponsors, but people who will be consistently, with you. So a company or somebody to adopt the Leeward Islands not the Leeward, the Literary and Debating Society, for
Yes.
example, so that each year you don't have to scramble like this to raise money. So that at least if you're having, $5,000 or $10,000 each year from a particular source, then whatever extra you need would be what you have to worry about. But certainly in terms of taking care of the team itself, those 6 critical members who have to be there, and of course the teachers who go with them, I think that really needs to be covered. So I think we'll raise some money for you, for sure. I feel very confident. All of you listeners out there, on the mark, all of you people who listen, I know we have thousands of listeners across the world. You may not call in, but I know you're listening. We're trying to raise some money for the Literary and Debating Society. They are young people who are doing something really great. They are going to sing kits, and they've promised right here and on the mark that they're going to win. But whether they win or not is not the issue. It is for them to go and do their best, and for them to develop the critical skills of public speaking. That's essential. I know one of these young ladies has told me she intends to be a lawyer. What do you want to be, Tiana? A lawyer as well?
No, I want to be a software engineer.
Software engineer. All right. And she's from Brownhill. So let me make that clear. Where you from?
In Churchground.
Churchground, Brownhill. One is saying you went to Ivor Walters as well?
EPPS.
EPPS?
Yeah.
So you went up the hill instead of down the hill?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I got you. Okay, so they are going to sing kits. They are members of the Literary and Debating Society here in Nevis at our Nevis Sixth Form College. And this is a team that has had great success over the years. This competition has been in existence for 51 years, and we have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times in 51 years. I think that's quite good, and we have not participated in all of those 51 years. And we have missed at least, 2 years due to COVID. So the number of competitions we have competed in might well be maybe mid-40s, and we have won 10 times. So I think that record is an excellent record. And even though we haven't won every time, we're often in the running. We've been in the finals quite a few times and not prevailed. And even when we have not been in the finals and not won, many times our speakers are the best speakers of the tournament, best speakers in the specific debates. So our young people are doing well. And I like to encourage young people, because oftentimes the bad things are what get the headlines. So everybody said the youth are going astray, the young people are not involved in positive things, the youth are doing everything that's bad. The truth is that the vast majority of young people are doing positive things.
That is true.
And I think we need to emphasize that, and we need to support when it happens. The few that engage in things that are not wholesome are the ones who tend to get the headlines and get the attention. And those who are doing what is right don't tend to get that level of attention. So I'm encouraging those who are out there who are listening, if you can reach out to the Nevis Sixth Form, which is housed right there at the Charleston Secondary School compound, and offer to assist. No amount is too small, but if you can write a nice big check, that will be welcomed.
Thank you.
What they don't use this time, they're going to save to use the next time around. Who's hosting the next time around? Is it going to be here? We haven't hosted in quite a while.
That is true. I'm not quite certain where exactly as yet.
Okay. Well, this is very interesting, and I think a good opportunity for you. So on Saturday, then, you're inviting everyone to come out to the Anglican Church School Hall at 7 p.m. Where you're going to have 2 debates. Could you remind us of the topics again?
Volunteerism or community service should form part of the requirements for certification from the Nevis Sixth Form College.
And social media is the leading cause of risky behaviors among youth today.
Okay, I think 2 very, very interesting topics. One talking about volunteerism or community service, whether that should be mandatory essentially, and the other talking about social media, which is all pervasive, and whether or not it is in fact the main cause of youth delinquency and, what you said? Bad behavior. Risky behavior. Let me get the language right, because in debating the language is important. Risky behavior, whether it is in fact the leading cause. I always love debates, because when they say things like leading cause, they say no, it's a cause, but it's not the leading cause, and all of these are very interesting things about debates, when you have to define all your terms and what it is you're talking about, and it's interesting. I'm jogging my memory and going back many decades. But thank you all for being here. Is there anything finally you would want to say to the audience?
I'd just like everybody to come out and support the debate on Saturday. It will be very interesting, and I really hope everybody comes and support our students at the Nevis Sixth Form College. Okay.
Any last word from you, Ms. Williams?
I'd like to thank everybody in advance for, kindly donating, helping out the young people. We're doing a positive thing in our society, and I like for, the public to, help out and promote the positivity in the Sixth Form. So
good.
Definitely.
Fantastic. Yes.
I'd just like to endorse what the recent would have stated. Indeed, debate is a positive activity for young people to engage in, and the way that we do it at the Nevis Sixth Form College is that it's not just debating, but the students are involved in research, they're involved in fundraising, so it also develops their, entrepreneurial expertise. And I would just like to encourage the young persons out there, maybe in high school, to become a part of the LDS. I'd also like to take this opportunity to encourage persons to come out and support us at our in-house debate, and also those persons who are debate enthusiasts to lend their support. It may not be financial, but perhaps their moral support as we journey to St. Kitts next year. Additionally, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the teachers as well as the administration at the Charleston Secondary School and the Nevis Sixth Form College for their continued support. And I would just like to highlight some teachers who have been working diligently with the LDS, Miss Shelley Huggins, Miss Tasha Liebert, as well as Miss Esther Thompson, Miss Shavane Williams and Utah Trish Taylor. She's not a teacher anymore, but she still assists. So we thank them, and we want to thank everyone.
Okay, and thank you for thanking everyone, and thank you for being here. It was absolutely delightful to have you, and I wish you all the very best. And please contact me about that donation. I'm serious. I'll be making a donation. Okay, thank you very much. Okay,
thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you had it. The representatives from the Literary and Debating Society who have come and are asking for your support as, of course, they get ready for the Leeward Islands debating competition, which will take place next year in February. So not too far away. We say next year as if it's a long way away, but it is actually not, because, of course, we are now well into December and anticipate that the year is going to be over very shortly. So February is right around the corner, and we ask you for your support. Financial support is critical. I have pledged my support tonight. I will be writing a check to them, and I'm hoping that you can also contribute. No amount is too small. Please, let us support our young people. As I say, we are quick sometimes to criticize them, but the vast majority of them are doing well and doing great things. So I thank them for being here and wish them all the very best. And please remember this Saturday to go out at 7 p.m. to the Anglican Church Hall and support their efforts. They're having 2 debates, and I'm so happy to see them both, see the 2 students here, and of course their teacher, all St. John's people by coincidence. One young lady from Churchground, one from Brownhill, and the teacher, of course, from Brownhill as well. So I thank them and wish them all the very best. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of ground to cover, quite a few things. Let me just check my phone briefly, because I recall that someone sent me something asking me to make an announcement. I wonder if I can find it now. Some message. Yes, I have found it, and it is the Wesleyan Holiness Church in Gingerland. They are presenting Christmas Serenade, December 10th. That's this Sunday. Starts at 4:30 p.m. Rollins Village, next to Pittyman Shop. Celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ with an evening of Christmas music and carols. So, the Wesleyan Holiness Church in Gingerland, December 10th, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. Rollins Village, next to Pittyman Shop. Please go out and support as they bring some Christmas cheer and Christmas joy. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the throes of the budget discussions now in the Nevis Island Parliament. I would have presented the budget yesterday, and it looks at the plans, programs, and projections for the government for the next year. This will be the second time this year that we are in the House presenting a budget, because of the elections last year, which were on December 12th. And so we would have gone into the House early this year for the budget for 2023, and we're now back on stream and doing the budget, which is ordinarily done in December for the next year, this 2024. There was some good news and some bad news, and I believe that this budget was a very sober assessment. We sat down as a team, and we decided that there was work that needed to be done. The fiscal ship was not in the shape that we would like it to be in, and we felt that we needed to do some work. The government has been quite relaxed over the past few years due to COVID, when we took some major hits, and then thereafter we were very relaxed in trying to help people back on their feet. We're now saying that it is time that we tightened up a bit, that we started to try and recover some of the costs of services and goods that the government provides. We are not intending, of course, because government is not an entity that is seeking to make a profit. But when we look, for example, at what we are charging at our hospital, I believe the public should know that to spend a night at the hospital here in Nevis is 20 EC dollars. Well, I say a night, let me say a day. To spend 24 hours there is 20 EC dollars. Now that entitles you to breakfast, lunch, dinner, your bed, the medication that is used, 20 EC dollars. You could not even buy lunch in Charlestown for 20 EC dollars anymore. So the truth is that those prices have been fixed many years ago, in some cases decades, and have never ever been adjusted. And as a result, we find ourselves year after year being asked to spend more and more to provide services, but not being able to recover very much. Just today, one of my colleagues received a message which said that we offer all of these lab tests at our hospital for free once somebody is over a particular age. But those same individuals may well have health insurance and so are in a position to pay through their insurance. So when we offer those services for free, we are only benefiting the insurance company, because the government is offering the service for free. The individual is paying their premium to the insurance company. And so these are some of the costs that continue to escalate. When we look at our pharmacy, we've had a problem, because most people, even when they go to a private doctor, they head up to the hospital to try and fill their prescription. People, I'm told, all from St. Kitts find themselves in Nevis filling prescriptions at our hospital. So we need more controls. And so we've looked at it and we said, you know what, we need to start to tighten up. The government needs to start to collect the revenue that is due. A lot of people out there owe property taxes. A lot of people owe various taxes. They're simply not paying. They can't be bothered to pay. People owe for water. People owe for electricity. They're not paying. They can't be bothered to pay. In fact, I marvel all the time that when people are assessing their monthly bills, they will pay Flow, no question. They pay Digicel, no question, because they know Flow and Digicel will cut them off right away. But they don't pay Nevlec. And I often marvel, because I say, well, how is your phone going to work if you can't charge it? So if Nevlec cuts off your electricity, how are you going to charge your phone? You're paying Digicel, you're paying Flow, you're paying them for your television as well, your streaming services on television. Well, how is the TV going to work without electricity? We say water is essential, and we understand that the minute that water is turned off here on the island of Nevis, people take to social media and they take to the radio stations and the call-in shows. But many people refuse to pay. They simply are not interested in paying for these services. And so we are saying that the government now needs to take a different approach. And so we are adjusting some prices to bring them more in line with the cost of the services. And we are taking a far more aggressive approach in terms of collections. We have said to our people time and time again that we have no desire to disconnect you from the service. So if you have electricity and you owe, we don't and have no interest in disconnecting you. But please go into Nevlec and make an arrangement to pay. If you can't pay all, we understand. Pay some and come to some arrangement. If you owe for water, pay some and come to some arrangement. So that's what we are asking people to do. Now that the water department is at a stage now where it is getting serious with not just sending out their bills, but collecting, pursuing, and even disconnecting, they are telling us, and the Minister Brand, who presented today, made it clear that they're finding a lot of anomalies. So they're finding, for example, that people who have been disconnected are going back and illegally reconnecting themselves. That people where the meter has been locked are tampering with the meters. And the point was raised that for Nevlec, if you tamper with Nevlec's meter, it's a fine of $5,000. If you tamper with a water meter, it used to be for naught. And so we are saying, no, that has to stop. We're now introducing fines of $1,500 and $2,000 for tampering with the meters or for illegal connections. Basically, we're asking our people to be responsible. That's really what it comes down to. To pay your bills, to pay them on time. And if you can't pay all, pay some and come to an arrangement. To keep us working as a government, the ability to provide the service, and also to ensure that your service is not interrupted. That's what we're asking of our people and our population. And we are saying that any increases are going to be moderate. We are also saying that any increases in rates for water, for electricity, for services at our hospital will take into account those who are most vulnerable. So they will not have to pay any increases or bear any of the pressure that may come from that. And so I want to make that very clear, and I did so in the budget address, but I want to reaffirm that the safety nets that are in place will continue to be in place, because it is government's duty, and we consider it a sacred duty, to take care of those who are most vulnerable. So I wanted to make that quite clear. Now, the budget presentation was done yesterday, as is the norm and has been the practice from time immemorial. once the budget is read by the Minister of Finance, the House then adjourns. And on the following day, when the House resumes, the first speaker for the opposition will be given equal time to that taken by the Minister of Finance. So if the Minister of Finance delivered his budget in 6 hours, then the first speaker on the opposition benches who rises to speak will get the same 6 hours. That has been the process. It has also been the process that the period that you have is that overnight period. That's the way it goes. In fact, in my early days in the Parliament, I was an opposition senator at the time the Nevis Reformation Party was in government. And the practice then was that even the budget address we did not get until after it had been delivered. Now we have changed that. So we send out the budget documents prior, and the members of the opposition can read along with the budget address because it is delivered to them on the morning. And so they can read, they can make notes on it, as the case may be. That has been the practice from time immemorial. And so today we heard from the member of the opposition, the Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, and the leader of the NRP. And she spoke today for just over 2 hours as well, and spoke on a number of matters. But it alarmed me, to be honest, because Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge kept lamenting that she didn't have enough time. She kept lamenting that with more time she could have done better in terms of the debate. With more time she could have perhaps responded in a more fulsome way. With more time, she kept saying she needed more time. And I'm saying to myself, you know what the rules are? The rules have been the same since time immemorial. And what all of us as parliamentarians have to do is to prepare. If you know what the rules are, you know if you're running 100 meters, you need to line up in this way. You know if you false start, you're out. So you're going to go and you're going to false start, and then you start to complain and say the rule isn't fair. You know what the rules are. And so when you enter into the arena, knowing what the rules are, it behooves you to prepare yourself. Now, it is not for me to give any advice, but as a senior parliamentarian and someone who has been in the parliament now for nigh 20 years, what I'll say is this, that you prepare. Sometimes you prepare even in advance. You don't have to wait to hear what the Premier is going to say, because you live in Nevis. You have constituents who come to you. They raise issues with you, whether it is crime, whether it is the economy. These are issues that you know, whether it is debt, whether it's geothermal energy, the healthcare system, the education system, whatever it may be. You don't wait until you get the document itself to say, all right, now I'm going to start to prepare. No. The document, yes, you'll want to respond to some things, but because you live in a society and you function in a society, you have and should have an idea. And I marvel today because as I listened to the Honourable Member for the NRP, it was clear that she was not prepared. She was not ready. She was reading from a script. Whoever prepared the script, she didn't appear comfortable with it. She struggled through, had difficulty articulating her position. And I said to myself that the NRP has the most loud talking heads in the Federation. Nobody has as much expertise, self-appointed at that, as the NRP. When you hear them, they're experts in everything. And they're on every radio station and giving interviews far and wide. And I thought to myself, well, where was this team? This team of loud people. Let me use that language. I'm trying to be kind. Where was this team? Because to my mind, the way that the Honourable Janice Daniel Hodge was lamenting today that she couldn't respond because she didn't have time tells me that she has no team around her. And if I was in any doubt of that, I reflected to my colleagues today. I said, you know, it is the very first time that the opposition in Nevis is responding And the leader of the NRP is responding. And there was not one single solitary person from the party, from the executive, from the rank and file, who was in the parliament to support their leader. Every chair in the gallery was empty. We had, I believe, 2 individuals there who are connected with the CCM, and we had one lady who works at the Nevis Island Assembly. Every other chair was empty. And I had never seen that before. Now, I don't know what that signifies. Does it indicate that the leader of NRP no longer has the support of her executive and her rank and file? Because in previous budgets, certainly the one that we had earlier this year, there were some members of the NRP who were there, jacket and tie and lovely dresses and adorned, and come out to show their support. But today, as the leader of NRP struggled through what was clearly a very painful and difficult process for her, there was nobody she could look up to for a little moral encouragement or support, because the gallery was empty. Not one at any point. When she started, there was a white gentleman there, and he was the only member in the gallery. And after about 20 minutes, he got up and left. I guess he just was there out of curiosity. And I thought that for 2 hours, and probably 2 hours and 25, 2 hours and 30 minutes or so, the Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge was there alone. Absolutely and utterly alone. And that, to my mind, raised some interesting questions, because here she is complaining that she didn't have enough time to prepare. So it begs the question, where's her team? Because budgets are normally done by a team. The response is also done by a team. And then there was nobody, not one, in the gallery to support her today. And, you know, it is interesting. Politics is what it is. But as I looked on at her forlorn figure, trying her very best, but not comfortable with the material, not knowledgeable about the material, not having informed herself. I mean, I'm going to respond naturally, because as the mover of the budget and the Minister of Finance, I have the last word. But something struck me about the Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge today. During the campaign, the CCM kept saying that nobody knew Janice, that Janice had come back from the Virgin Islands in mysterious circumstances. Let me put it that way. And having come back, she had lived a life under the radar. She had not gone out. She was not somebody who was well known. She was somebody who one hardly saw and hardly knew. And so that was a point that kept being made, of course, that we kept saying that, you know, there was this gap. Politicians here tend to be people who are well known, people who, you know, are known to the community. Janice Daniel Hodge was an unknown factor. And we made the point, and continued to make the point, that not only was she unknown, but that she didn't know people either. So people did not know her, and she didn't know people. That was the argument. And today, as I listened to the honorable member, I said to myself, you know, she doesn't know, and more troubling, she's not trying to know. Because a lot of times we don't know. Many of us are new to something. But you see, this thing called public life and politics, it behooves us to learn. When I became Minister of Foreign Affairs for St. Kitts and Nevis, I was not a diplomat. I had no training in diplomacy. And I remember calling Sherry Truss, senior diplomat from Rice's Village, and I said, Sherry, what am I to do? Because I've been given this portfolio. I'm going out there now, rubbing shoulders with foreign affairs people, with ministers, and I was not prepared academically for that. And Sherry said to me, you will learn. Just learn to listen, do your research, and you will learn. And within a couple of weeks, I knew the language, I knew the rhythm of diplomacy. And I continued to learn, to read, to equip myself. I never went to a meeting unless I was prepared. I'd read the briefs. I could converse. I knew what was going on. And so it is important, not about where you're starting, but that you prepare yourself. And if we wanted any indication about how out of touch Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge is with what's happening in Nevis, is that we said yesterday, in the budget, that as part of the realignment of pricing to bring them more in line with the cost of the services, that we'll have to look at the supply office. Now, the supply office has been there for all these years, but what has happened is that the costs of the goods there on the world market have escalated considerably, but yet we've continued to sell at the old rates. And so we're saying, listen, we can't continue to subsidize to that degree. Some adjustment is necessary. So Dr. Daniel today, in her response, said that we should not increase any prices at the supply office because that's where poor people shop. That's where poor people buy their food. And I thought, poor people buy food at the supply office? But the supply office doesn't sell food. It's not a grocery. And so I got on my phone right away and I said, well, is it that I am perhaps the one that's mistaken? And so I made the inquiry. I said, well, Dr. Daniel Hodge, the representative of the NRP and the lead of the NRP, has just chastised this government, telling us not to raise any prices at the supply office because that's where poor people buy their food. And so I asked, well, what does the supply office sell? Hear what the supply office sells. Flour in bulk to bakeries, rice in bulk, they sell toilet paper, they sell molasses to the farmers, those 4 items. They sell dog food, that's item 5. So I want you to listen to me now. They sell flour in bulk to the bakeries, they sell rice in bulk, they sell toilet paper, they sell molasses to the farmers, they sell dog food, and they sell feed to the farmers. So I asked the question rhetorically, which poor people are shopping for groceries at the supply office? What it tells me is that Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge had no idea what the supply office does. None. No idea. Because I am certain that no person in Nevis, rich or poor, is going down here to buy molasses for dinner. Certainly no person is going down there to buy dog food as groceries. Is going down there to buy animal feed as groceries. So there's a disconnect that I keep talking about. And I marvel at the fact that the supply office could have been in existence for decades. And the leader of NRP doesn't know what happens at the supply office. She doesn't know what is sold there. She does not know that it is not a retail outlet for grocery. She doesn't know the items that are offered at the supply office. So she goes into the parliament to say, don't raise the prices because that's where poor people shop for their food. That level of disconnect is for me very alarming. Very alarming. And as I said, it is one thing not to know. It's an entirely different thing not to want to know and not to put yourself in a position where you can find out. And that is what we are faced with here in terms of the opposition. Incidentally, the other member of the opposition, a member for Nevis 5 St. Thomas's, indicated that she was unwell and could not be at the budget discussions. And so I would want to use this rostrum to wish her a speedy recovery and to let her know that our prayers are with her. She did ask for the prayers not only of the Assembly but the public for a speedy recovery. So, Madam Member, Honorable Cleon Stapleton Simmons, if you're listening, our thoughts are with you for a speedy recovery, and we are sorry that you are afflicted in some way and cannot be at the sitting. But we are where we are, and we have the sitting had to have gone forward, and so we have had the response today from the lone member of the opposition present, who is Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge. And as I said, it is clear from that discussion that she is not in touch with what is going on here on the island of Nevis. And so when sometimes now, because today brought home another reality for me, and that reality is this, that when we hear people like Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge say that nothing is happening in Nevis, I now believe that they truly mean it. I used to think that when she said that, it was because she was being malicious, facetious, diabolical. I, however, now believe that she truly believes it because she does not know what is going on in Nevis. I honestly now believe that. Because if you feel that poor people shop for groceries at the supply office, which means you have no idea of what the supply office is or what it does or what it sells, it tells me, therefore, that you truly are out of touch. You don't know what is going on in Nevis. And that is consistent with the life that she lived prior to jumping into politics. Because, as we said, she was not somebody who mixed and mingled and was around anybody. She kept to herself, very low profile. Then all of a sudden, she's a politician. And nothing is wrong with that. Politics is open for all of us. But at least if you're going to be a politician, go around and find out how this thing works. How could you not know what the supply office sells? But it sounds good, I suppose, for her to say poor people shop there for their groceries, because it's making a point somehow that we are increasing the cost of food for poor people. That lack of understanding for me is quite alarming. Now, we are going to get into the response, of course, to the budget, and we hope to do that perhaps tomorrow, if we get to that, because we have other members of the Parliament who will present tomorrow. But I tell you that some of the debate is going to be interesting. You know, I listened to this fella, what's his name now? My nickname for him is Buster, because he barks hard but is deathly afraid of running in any election, and he will forever be barking. That is all he will do. And that's the fella Powell, Carlisle Powell. And I mention his name only because somebody sent me a clip where he was on some show talking about geothermal, and I said it is either that people like Buster don't know, they forget, they lie, or they assume that other people don't know. Because I hear this gentleman talking about geothermal. He was Mr. Geothermal, if you recall, and talking about this great thing that NRP had done. NRP, and we came in and we messed up geothermal. And I thought to myself, but in his recounting of the history, he forgot something quite fundamental. The NRP was in office from 2006 to 2013. They met a project for geothermal in 2006, the GeoCarib project funded by the OAS. They immediately abandoned that project and jumped into bed with West Indies Power. Nobody knew who West Indies Power were. I hear them now talking about tendering and bids, and there was no bid, there was no tendering. West Indies Power was somehow selected, and we know that there were NRP people involved. We know, so it was a little You scratch my back, I scratch yours. We understand. So West Indies Power got the deal. And remember, we were in Charlestown one time. They had a big party in Charlestown, you all remember? Geothermal, they christened geothermal, the baby. The only time in history that a baby christened before it born was in Nevis. Geothermal was christened in Charlestown at the D.R. Walwyn Plaza before it was born. And it still ain't born yet, but it done christened by NRP. Big celebration, pom-pom girls, balloons, a pickup. I remember a big pickup here was marked geothermal something. Big christening in town. And the baby no born yet. All under Buster. But the fundamental point that somehow Buster forgot, or assume we forgot, is that the same West Indies Power that they jumped into bed with in 2006, they later took to court. They sued West Indies Power. Why? To get out of the arrangement that they had entered into with West Indies Power. So when we got into office in 2013, the very first thing that as a new government we had to deal with was a court case brought by the NRP administration against their former partner, West Indies Power. We had to fight that case all the way up to the Court of Appeal. And it's only after the Court of Appeal tell West Indies Power go sit down that we were able then to engage in relation to geothermal. You see, you can't tell half a story, you know, and assume that people forget. So when you hear, oh, I had this under control, and this was a position, and that was a position, and they talk good, you know, they sound good. Buster could sell ice to an Eskimo. Very convincing, but not one iota of sense is there. None. And I believe that we just need to call these things for what they are. In fact, if we could have harnessed the hot air coming out of Buster's mouth, we would have been having electricity here on the island long time. Because that's all it is, hot air. If you had the deal and everything was in order, why did you take West Indies Power to court? That's the first thing we had to do. Fight a court case. We shouldn't forget these things, you know, brothers and sisters. We shouldn't forget. Because some people are out there trying their best to rewrite history. Trying their best. They have discovered some words now like tendering. Discovered words like bids. And look how much road do here in Nevis under NRP. The same Buster had boasted in a speech that they're going to do more roads in 2.5 years than CCM did in 20 years. But which of those roads went out for a bid? Tell me. You see, we need to just start to step back sometimes and say, hey, you guys seem to want the people of Nevis to look at you as if you don't have a record in government. It's one thing when you're in opposition and you've never been in government and you're telling people what you could do if you got there. It's a different thing when you have had a chance in government. And that's why the people of Nevis, after 5 years, they said, NRP, not you again. And it was a thieving and the skullduggery during the election of 2011, the taking off of people's name. That horrible crime committed against the people of Nevis. And ultimately saw Henry Daniel being declared null and void and the election overturned. And by 2013, having gone up and lost again in the Court of Appeal, the people voted overwhelmingly for the Concerned Citizens Movement. The people wanted to change the government since 2011. One term they were given the NRP because they recognized that the NRP could not manage the affairs of the island of Nevis. They recognized that. And you tried to thwart the will of the people through fraud and were caught with your hands in the cookie jar. And the court spanked them and said, no, create history here. Declare whole man null and void. And we went back to the polls. One term. CCM on the other hand, won in 2013. We went back in 2017, first time I had the opportunity to lead, we won again. Went back in 2022, through the grace of God, we won again. People have confidence in the concerned citizens movement to lead Nevis. I am not suggesting that we are perfect or we always get it right. No, I'm not suggesting that at all. But I'm saying that the people have demonstrated election after election after election that they have confidence in the CCM. That when we tell them something, they can believe it because we have leadership that they can trust. And so when we hear these people, you know the thing that bothers me? It's the same old khaki pants. Some youngster said to me some weeks ago, he said, you know, if the NRP had won the election last year, December, do the people of Nevis realize that they were putting back the same old khaki pants back in government? The name that I hear them calling say was going to be Deputy Governor General. Yes, them had people assigned for all that already. All who going to be junior minister. We heard the Honorable Cleon Stapleton Simmons say Hensley Daniel was going to come back as junior minister. In fact, even when they lost, Hensley Daniel was to come back in the House on the opposition benches. You know why? Hensley want the pension. He need a little more time so he can collect his pension. That talks, speaks volumes. It talks to you, it speaks to you, it says volumes about the mentality. Not let me go in there to see what I can do for the people of Nevis. Let me go in there, go get me pension, boy. Me need me pension, me need to get me pension. All of self, none of you. That was the purpose of him going back into the parliament, to get the additional years so that he can secure a pension for himself. And this is what the young person was saying to me. These were who you're going to put back the same old khaki pants. Buster, Hensley, the CFBC fella. These are the people that they were going to put back there on the backs of the people of Nevis. And when you hear them, you recognize that these are the people who are still the controlling interest. They are the ones. I was somewhere the other day and I saw Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge showed up. And who she had with her was none other than Bernadette Lawrence. And I said, Bernadette? Bernadette is back in politics again? Because you all remember Bernadette was a star in the election petition, you know. Bernadette was the one who was the registration officer, did all that she did at the electoral office. And when I see that you just dust off these people, dust them off, say, man, put on a little mascara, put on a little something on your face, man, spruce up yourself, come. Let me go. You all think the people of Nevis forget so easily? Really? So when I hear Buster talk about geothermal, well, I say, Buster, partner, I don't know in life that there's anything that you have succeeded at yet. We are still alive, so there's still hope for you. But we can't point to anything yet. And I'm nearly 60, so that means you must be nearly 70 by now. So I am trying to figure out if in the past 60 something years you can't point to anything that you can say objectively was a success. You can't point to 2O level, you can't point to 2A level, you can't point to any associate degree, you can't point to a degree, you can't point, Lord of mercy, you can't point to success in anything. But you come in with all this attitude and all this talk and pompous talk of that. But geothermal, certain topics I tell certain people, leave alone. Talk about cricket. I believe you, as an administrator, you know a thing or two about cricket. You can't play, but you know a thing or two about the game. Talk about that. Because when it comes to government and what was achieved in government and what was done in government, geothermal under NRP was a disaster. So much so that they ended up suing West Indies Power, the same company that jumped into bed with in 2006 without any bidding, without any tendering. Now they say CCM wicked and bad because we hire a consultant to the airport without a tender. Y'all hear that? I want you all to understand. Today, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge kept over and over. And you know, she reminded me today of my friend Bijan Hanley. Bijan used to come to my press conference, say he was a member of the media. Can't remember what he said, black owned media or something he said he was called. And one day I got a little frustrated because he kept prefacing everything he said, his questions, by, oh, people tell me, people on the street tell me this, people up the road tell me that. And I knew, and Bijan knew, and the public knew that nobody tell Bijan a thing. Not one soul had any conversation with Bijan about anything. Similarly today, every point that the leader of NRP was going to make, she started to say, people tell her this and people tell her that. One point she said what? 9 out of 10 people can't see where the debt in Nevis was spent. Well, I wonder when she did the poll. 9 out of 10 people. Then she went on to say how she never heard anything about any letter being required for geothermal funding to flow from the CDB. And then all of a sudden she starts hearing that some letter from the Prime Minister was required. And that in press conferences we sought to make it clear that the funding and everything was in order. And so I eventually had to stand up and I said, but we can't continue this, allow this to continue. The rules are clear, you know. If you make an assertion that such and such a statement was made on one radio or in a press conference or whatever the case may be, there's an obligation for you to produce the evidence. If you say 9 out of 10 people in Nevis are of a particular opinion, well, where's the poll that supports that? Because we know that not a soul tell Janice anything, just like Bijan. Not one mortal tell her anything. But she come in here to talk about 9 out of 10 divisions are saying this and saying that. Nonsense. So on this occasion I said, well, could you please provide the evidence of these press conferences, you say, where there was some indication to the Nevision public that the financing was in order? You know what she said? I retract the statement. Well, he must retract because the statement was not based on any fact. You just come in and you make it up and then you knock it down. They call it a straw man. You erect a straw man and then you knock it down with great aplomb. And you hit yourself on the back and you say, hurrah, I've done something great. That's really all that was happening. So immediately as I challenged, and I said, no, all day you've been doing this. If you said there were press conferences asserting that everything was in order, bring the evidence. She said, I withdraw. Retract the statement right away. And I don't know how it is that the NRP didn't hear about this letter because we talked about it. We talked about it all during the campaign. We talked about it. That the CDB had financing available for geothermal, but they could not move any further without a letter of support from the federal government. And that was necessary. Why? Because the CDB ultimately will engage with the government in Bastia. They will engage with Nevis at the technical level, but when it comes to the money, it comes to signing off, Sinkis has to say, because they are the federal government. Simple. And that letter was not forthcoming. When the government changed, the first meeting I had with Prime Minister Joe, I asked him, and he immediately committed, and within, I believe, that week or the next few days, the letter went off to the CDB. He was elected in August. By December, the CDB was able to approve $17 million for this project. There's nothing there that is new. But because Janice thought that poor people shop for the groceries at the supply office, I am persuaded that she never heard anything about any letter for Truno, because Janice is fast asleep. Fast asleep. Like Rip Van Winkle. Fast asleep. So I'm persuaded she was being genuine, that she didn't ever hear anything about any letter being necessary, because she wasn't listening. I know she's still not listening. And that's what I say is so dangerous, that you don't know and you have no interest in putting yourself in a position to know. Ladies and gentlemen, I could go on for quite a while. I realize, however, this is a call-in show, and I realize I will have an opportunity tomorrow to rebut in a more fulsome way some of the nonsense that was spewed today from the opposition benches. I look forward very much to that engagement. We start at 10 in the morning tomorrow, and I'm urging you, because we have Minister Janelle Nisbet to report on her ministries, we have Minister Troy Liber to report, we have Minister Eric Evelyn to report, and then I can do the wrap-up. And so we propose, if possible, to get through tomorrow, and I'm asking you to tune in. It should be interesting, because we're going to come with some facts so that the people of Nevis never forget. Never forget. It is 9:15 o'clock. We're going to open the lines. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. The phones are ringing already, so let's go straight to the phone and say, good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
This is Carlton.
My brother, how are you?
Yeah, first I must say, I don't know how to get in touch with the young ladies who were on earlier with you.
Yes.
But I wouldn't say how much I will give, but God spare my life, when I come to Nevis on Saturday, I will leave something for them at Carbo shop.
By Carbo?
Carbo, my friend, with the goat water.
Yeah, well, Carbo now to reach me too, so either way.
So I will tell him to give you and you will give it to them?
Yes, man, that could work.
Okay, Mark, you still make me feel good. I'm trying my best to pull away from politics, because politics is a nasty game. Now, in Nevis, I spent some time on Saturday to listen to the program that criticized you. I only know one of the three panelists. That is Hensley Daniel. I don't know the other two. One is Daly and one is the next guy. I like to listen to them, because you should know by now I'm a liberal. I respect a deal with different views. But let me tell you something that struck me about that program that was very sad to me on Saturday. The conductor mentioned that the airport deal that you made should be scrapped. So I'm listening, because I want to know why it should be scrapped.
The airport deal that I scrapped?
No. He went on to say that the airport deal that you made with a man from overseas, it seems, but someone told me today the person, he made reference to living in Nevis.
Yes.
Good. Now, he's saying clearly that it should be scrapped. The reason for that being that we don't know what's going to happen, because we don't really know what's going on. Well, I wonder if he expects the government to speak out on every deal and everything that is going on between the man and government, because that don't happen nowhere in the world. So I keep on listening, and he said, the thing is it, we don't know what's going to happen in the project at all. But Mark, just in case he did not know, in the Bible, in Ecclesiastes 7:14, it says, man cannot be certain of anything that will happen to them in the future. So no matter what deals we make, we still don't know what will happen in the future. But I want to ask them to this radio station tonight, do they feel better with Nevis Airport staying as it is, and the government trying to bring an investor in to invest to make it good? Their problem is that this investor, all the things he wants is to have his own hangar. Because I'm listening to them and taking notes, but not with pen. I have a brain. I never attended school, but I open my brains to learn. Very poor. But here this one. They went on. The other guy, you called his name a while ago, Hensley Daniel, went on to say, I listened to them carefully, that the only thing could help this airport deal, no Carlton, no. The only thing could help this airport deal is to change the government. Well, Hensley Daniel is a well-respected man for years that I've known him in Nevis. Is he getting senile? Why do I ask this question? We just had an election in Nevis. How would they change the government? Would they use the same language that Cleon, Stapleton, Simmons said that someone was trying to attack her to remove the government? Now, I have a problem with those guys on Saturday criticizing you to the full, and they will never speak anything good of you. That is why a lot of people will be turned off from that program. You must be able to speak something good of a premier. Must. But for Hensley Daniel to say after 1 year in the Nevis government, the only thing can help us with the airport deal is to change the government, is crazy. It's ridiculous. Now, Mark, I want to say this. I still want to thank the Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Drew for sitting with you and discussing things that will help Nevis to go forward. I know Dr. Drew going through a lot, but I'm not saying anything. I'm getting a lot of information. We in St. Kitts Nevis have to pray for Dr. Drew. Why? He's our leader. And whether we like him, yes or not, we must hope and pray that Dr. Drew make decision that will benefit the country. Isn't that so?
Absolutely.
Mark, you know why I continue to love you, and everyday people come to me and condemn me for you. The condemnation will got to continue. Because until otherwise, I still rate you as the best ever when it comes to politics in St. Kitts Nevis. Anybody got anybody else to tell me? They could come and give me the reasons for it. Continue what you're doing, Mark. Please. There is a man in St. Kitts that grudge you. Well, two of them mainly. One have a program and the other one used to be a prime minister. Why they grudge you? They grudge you because, first of all, they didn't want you to get geothermal, because if they wanted you to get the geothermal, they were in a position to sign on to it, and it would have happened already. They grudge you because of your skill being able to communicate with others in spite you might have differences. That's a man. But this load of money that the world is going after, the excess money can't do nothing to us, And all the world is indulged in is love of pleasure, love of money, and showing off with the things we possess. But can I remind them something? Because I believe you got a lot of callers lined up. I don't want to take too long. There was a man named Paul Allen, Microsoft co-founder.
Yes.
He died at the age of 65. He leave billions of dollars. Money couldn't save him. Money answer it all, things they say. But the thing is, We must see if we could work even across the table with opposition. You frightened me tonight when you spoke about what you saw in the opposition today. A matter of fact, I might have lost some big business today. I did not know that you had parliament today. Because I want to come Nevis and sit the entire day for parliament.
Well, we have tomorrow as well.
And I'm going to tell you this. If some overseas people didn't give me some big orders today, I will never miss it. But I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I got orders for tomorrow for people going back to New York. Mark, I'm very grateful. I'm going to come off the phone because I like to give people a chance. But you said something about electricity, and I want St. Kitts Nevis to understand this. A lady called me a month ago. She said, Mr. DuPont, I'm in dire distress. I don't want my electricity to be cut. Can you help me with $2,000? I said, lady, I know what it is. I know what it is to owe bills because I grew up very poor, but not because I have something now. My mind is always open to help people, but they just can't come and ask for help and it's automatic. My heart has to answer. I said, lady, could you come for the money? In 5 minutes, I'm not lying on her. In 5 minutes, she'd reach the store. I had the money ready. I handed it to her. Mark, you know, up to today, she hasn't paid one dime on that bill.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I don't tell lies except I making joke, eh? Come and tell you something else. You see our young people in St. Kitts Nevis who looking for Dr. Drew to get double salary? No, Carlton, no. It is unfortunate. Come and tell you why. The Bible says we must make sure of the more important things in our life. There are so many young women and young men in St. Kitts. They're in carnival troops. They buy the most expensive phones, clothes and shoes and big birthday party, Valentine party. But we must make sure that when we are doing those things, the more important things are taken care of. I am disappointed with my country. I still want to thank the electricity company in St. Kitts because from the knowledge that I am accumulating, a lot of people in St. Kitts don't pay electricity bill at all and it's hurting me. You know why? The electricity company in St. Kitts is good to people. I would assume Nevlec in Nevis doing the same. They don't just cut people down here, you know, Mark.
Up here the same way.
They give you a chance. Mark, I got a vision for this country, but people don't really pay enough attention to me. I saw a man I'm going to come off. I saw a man in the store standing for a long time today, but the store's so busy. People from overseas making big orders and buying things. And a man standing there. I heard when the madam said to him, sir, can I help you? He said, I would like to say something to that gentleman. I've never seen the man before. You know what the man told me? Mister, can you please touch me? I said, what happened? The store, a pin could have dropped in the store. He said, I live in the United States, but I couldn't wait to come here to meet you. You know why? To me, you believe in your people and you mean well for your people. Mister, could you touch me? It was, Mark, it was thrilling. Mark, let me tell you something. A 76-year-old woman sent her grandson to the store to ask me if there's any possibility of me coming back on radio to share my thoughts on the things that are happening in our country. But Mark, let me tell you something. I'm not going to continue anymore, except to say I love you to my heart. And in spite of the things people tell me, every Saturday and Sunday I spend in Nevis, you know. I love Nevis so much. Every Saturday and Sunday I spend in my sister country because I love you all. I don't want to use certain words tonight. So have a good night, and I realize I look at the clock, 35 minutes to go. I want some other people to get a chance. May God bless you, Mark, and continue to do the best you can for the people of Nevis, and I'll continue to pray for you.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. And if I don't get the chance, a Merry Christmas to you and to your family. I wish you all the very best.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, that, of course, was Carlton Rasta with no locks, DuPont, and he is a well-known figure in St. Kitts and Nevis. I like to give him time because he always talks with all, as the old people say, and he always brings a lot to think about to the table when he comes. Let me take this other call. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Mr. Mark, good evening. How are you?
Yes, good evening. I'm doing well, thank you.
I'm laughing, and I'll tell you why. My name is Austin Coker, think it. About 3 weeks ago, or maybe a month, you will recall I spoke to you when Dr. Joe paid the $1,000 about the current and the water business that people owe in, sir.
Yes.
Well, Mark, I hope that Dr. Joe would take the same step just like you. Because, honestly speaking, Mark, a lot of them just taking the money and doing nonsense, and they ain't thinking about the necessities that they need. Water, light, healthcare, and stuff like that. Tell them to bring in Bujubanton tomorrow or weekend. They find all the money to outfit them. And if it's one time, I will support the Labour government. And I say it with no water in my mouth, because I'm not a supporter of the Labour government, is that the holy half before he get out the pen. They need to stop this nonsense with lights bill and water bill and people just play scapegoat ducking up and down like kite on a Good Friday. Have a good night. And before go, Mark, I sent you a photo of my little son as one of the remarkable teens.
Congratulations to him.
Sons are now remarkable teens.
Yes.
Have a good night.
Thank you. And congratulations to him. I'm told they are young entrepreneurs. So congratulations to him and to you for raising good children. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing like a Nivision holiday. A Nivision Heritage Village, 9th December from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Children 12 to 17, EC $5, adults EC $10, children under 12 will be free. String band, Christmas carols, steel pan music, and much more. It will be at the Nivision Heritage Village. Nothing like a Nivision holiday. I'm told you have masquerade performances, you have performances by Delhi and Speedy, food, Santa will be there. All roads lead to the Nivision Heritage Village on Saturday. That is the 9th of December 2023. And I'm inviting one and all to go out and support that. It is being put on, of course, by our tourism authorities, and we invite one and all to go. Nivision Heritage Village. So DuPont, when you come over on Saturday, please head over to the Nivision Heritage Village for Nivision holiday. Lots to eat and drink, traditional stuff. You'll have a good time. And this is the old time way, Nivision holiday. So I invite everyone to go out and be a part of it. Before, let me take this call since somebody's holding. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Miss Sherry.
Good evening, my dear.
Happy birthday is going out to Esther Matthew at Jessup Village. I hope she have a wonderful time tonight.
Well, I join you in extending birthday greetings to my friend Esther.
Proverbs 11, verse 10 and 11. When it goeth well with the righteous, the city rejoice, and when the wicked perish, there is shouting. By the blessing of the upright, the city is exalted, but it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. Good night to my nephew in Canada and my cousin in Nevis. And I say good night. I notice Japan, I love you, Mommy, so I love you too.
All right, my
and
dear.
Have a good night.
Thank you, and thank you for the scripture. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 9:30. I should have done this at the top of the show, and I do apologize. But let me take the opportunity now to express my deep condolences to the family of Mr. Zephaniah Liebert, known to us all as Ron Liebert. I got news that Mr. Liebert had passed, and I believe that Mr. Liebert would have contributed significantly to the island of Nevis. He was a politician. He was an NRP stalwart at one point. He was somebody who contributed in terms of boat building and seafaring. He was involved in business, an early businessman and entrepreneur. And I really want to extend my condolences to his family. To my cousin Carl in particular, my deepest condolences to you, and to the rest of the family, to Naya, and to all of his children, all who survive him. I extend my deep condolences. As I said, I should have done it at the top of the show. Please forgive me. But I now do so to extend condolences to the family of Mr. Zephaniah Liebert, better known as Rowan Liebert, who we advise has passed on. And so we pray that his soul will rest in peace and that the prayers of the multitude will comfort the family in this their time of bereavement. Let me go back to the phones and take some more calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Mark, good evening.
Good evening to you.
I'm saying thanks to my neighbor that helped me chop my bush around my place.
You got your bush cleared around your place, you said?
Yes, I get my neighbor come and cut it around for me.
Okay, that's wonderful to hear.
Right. Say thanks to him.
All right. You want to say who your neighbor is, or you're just gonna say the neighbor?
My neighbor, his name Ricky.
Ricky.
Work on Jones boat.
All right. So Ricky came and assisted you, and you're more comfortable now.
Yes, I'm more comfortable now. The bushes are for me now.
All right. Good.
Thank you.
All right. God bless you. Okay. We have about 28 or so minutes left. We're taking your calls. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. So remember again that this Saturday from 2 p.m. until 7 p.m. all roads lead to the Nivision Heritage Village, where we're going to have a Nivision Christmas. Nothing like a Nivision Christmas. You're going to see the masquerades. You're going to hear the steel pan, no doubt. You're going to hear some Christmas music, no doubt. You're going to really enjoy yourself. Have local food and drinks. Very nominal fee, $5 for those 12 to 17. $10 for those over 17, and if you're under 12, you're completely free. We're inviting, of course, the people from St. Kitts, our brothers and sisters. Come on over. This is going to be a traditional Nivision celebration at the Heritage Village. It's a wonderful location. Please come and see what's happening on the sister island. Come out, and I expect, of course, that the people of Nevis will go out as well in their numbers to the Nivision Heritage Village this Saturday from 2 until 7. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, go ahead. Caller, can you speak a little louder and more into the phone?
Okay, time and time again when I listen to you hear me better?
Yes, I'm hearing you a bit better.
Well, I tell you all the time that the political system needs reform. To give you an example, like in America, they're bipartisan committees. We adapt some of the things, but we forget the more important thing. We have to come together and sit down. We have to, in St. and Nevis have to form bipartisan committees to do certain things. This system of government that we did, that we let people get elected outside of government to be opposition. Don't need to be opposition. It has to change. We must be more inclusive in how we do things in government. That's one. Number two, I want to condemn the silence of my government and the slaughter that is still going on in Palestine by the wicked Zionist Israeli people. It is a thing that our government should have a moral stand about. It is time for us to do fall like South Africa and take sanctions against Israel because they are not listening to the United States and listening to Europe and listening to nobody. If it was an African country or another country doing those wickedness to people, innocent civilians, we would have sanctions against us long time. That is very well sad that we sit down there and the silence. We don't even debate it locally. Like when it's not the human life, don't even concern us, the loss of human life. So I want to really relatedly send congratulations, late birthday greetings to General Terrence too, Prime Minister, and my brother who work in the Ministry of Farming Affairs. They put him on the birthday on the same day, the 22nd of November, but last program I couldn't really get to give them no regard. And before, I'd like to apologize again to the St. Kitts Nevis football team who came here to Guadeloupe. And I went to the airport to meet them, but the flight was delayed, and so I had to leave before I could get to talk to them. I was seeing them, and because of the bus system, I couldn't go to get to see the match on the Sunday. But I really apologize for them because I wanted to see and give them a little moral support as they go into the encounter with Barbados. And I think that it's time now that we, as a people, unite. Because when you watch Europe, NATO is across the ocean. Canada, America fits into NATO. But it cannot be Caribbean fit with where we came from, our ancestry, Africa. We don't form alliances with Africa. We form mind Europe. Remember, the Americans, remember that they came from Europe. And so they join a military force and an economic force with Europe. We as a people, who we join with? We are looking all over the place. We must consolidate where we come from. We must come from alliances with Africa. Because the time has come now for us to do that. Even in the Caribbean, as I said before, the divide and rule will only hurt us and left us vulnerable for exploitation. We need a united Caribbean, a united Navy, a united thing, a federalized Caribbean, and then the approach with a union with Africa. Because there's a space in the African Union still waiting for us to take. But because of who control our foreign affairs, we cannot take up that seat. And number two, the last one is with the crime and violence. 63 years ago, or 60 years ago, His Majesty made a speech in America, and he denounced the whole system of racism. And confronting, denouncing the system. But the Honorable Martin Luther King made a speech this same. I had a dream. But what I've seen is in the last, since they have gone off this stage, is that the politicians who they're seeing want to reinvent the wheel. If you follow what these two great gentlemen have said, His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie and Martin Luther King, we would have been in a better position. But we have turned our back on their advice, and we have started to reinvent the wheel because we have gotten some European education. But they didn't see the European education, they see our unity and making it better for the next generation as their priority. Give thanks.
All right, well, thank you very much for your call and your views. One thing I can say that you're consistent in your position, and so thank you very much for that. I, too, am sorry that you weren't able to engage with the football team in Guadeloupe. I'm pretty sure they would have been very happy to see a familiar face or a face from home, but nevertheless, I'm sure you wish them well, and so happy for your call. Ladies and gentlemen, just to remind, please forgive me. Somehow my phone is on. I'm not sure how that happened. Please forgive me. So we are reminding you that tomorrow at 10 a.m. we have the continuation of the budget debates in the Nevis Island Assembly, and we have several ministers are yet to speak. We anticipate that they'll report on their ministries tomorrow, and then we have the wrap-up, which will come, we hope, as well tomorrow. If we go late, then we're hopeful that the President of the House will allow us to conclude matters, and so we'll see where that goes. So we're looking forward very much to the continuation of the debate starting tomorrow at 10. God sparing our lives this evening and allowing us to be there tomorrow. Let's go back to the phones. No? Caller, please call back 869-469-1616 or 869-469-1700. Let's try this call. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, you're on the mark. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I would like to tell that gentleman in Guadeloupe, please to come home because his job is here still under the banyan tree. Nobody take up the job as yet, so I would like him to come home.
All right. Well, you know who it is then?
Yeah, I know directly who it is.
All right, good. All right, well, I'm sure he's hearing you because he listens to the show every week.
I know.
All right.
But the job is here, I think it's still.
The job under the banyan tree?
Under the banyan tree.
All right. Okay, well, I'm sure he'll understand what you mean.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Okay. All right, caller.
Right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. We have 20 minutes left and we're taking your call. So we have a number of events this weekend. Saturday, we have the Literary and Debating Society here. They have a competition at the Anglican Church Hall starting at 7 p.m. But prior to going there, I want you to go to the Nivision Holiday. It's all about the Nivision Holiday at the Nivision Heritage Village. It's going to be a local affair. Masquerades, you want to hear that sweet fife, you got to go there. You want to hear that big drum, you got to go there. And I believe it's going to be really exciting with local food. It's only $5 if you're 12 to 17 years old. It's $10 if you're an adult. It's free if you're under 12. And so take the entire family and have them immersed in that Nivision Christmas experience. It really promises to be a wonderful affair, and it's at the Nivision Heritage Village, which is an excellent venue for that type of event. So we ask you to go out and be there. So tomorrow, what can you look forward to in the House? You can certainly hear about developments in the Ministry of Health, Gender, Social Services, the Ministry of Sport, Education, IT, what is happening. I think we had a very comprehensive report today from Minister Spencer Brand. I think he did a brilliant job today, and we expect that we will have comprehensive reports tomorrow. We'll hear from the Deputy Premier speaking about housing and the revolution that we've had in housing, speaking about agriculture and the revolution that we've had in agriculture in Nevis. When this posturing about nothing is happening is being said out there, as I said, I used to think that the leader of NRP in particular was just being disingenuous, but now I think she genuinely doesn't know. That's my conclusion. And so I just think she needs to go out a bit, inform herself, wake up from that slumber, go out and really experience Nevis. In fact, I hope she goes to the Nivision holiday on Saturday at the Nivision Heritage Village and take people with her. Go out and immerse yourself. Learn what it is to masquerade. Learn how the fife sound. Learn how big drum sound. Learn how to be Nivision and the things that are uniquely Nivision. It's important. I don't say so facetiously. I say so having seen and realized that we need a wholesome immersion in all things Nevis. So, we're taking your calls, 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700, and we're inviting one and all to be there tomorrow at the Parliament. Let's go to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hi, sir. Good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening, I'm fine, thank you.
Beautiful. I want to express a concern I have as a division that has been bothering me for a long time. Just to bring this compress this concern that I have is that there is and it's spread all over, but it seems to be very emphatic in Nevis, a kind of culture of jealousy, right? And I'm not sure what I'm having. I'm sure yourself have heard words said like this: "He doesn't get rich out for me," "They don't get rich out for me."
They don't get what?
They are not going to get rich.
Yes, of course.
Right. And one thing about divisions, I see that we can be very ambitious, but the very strange thing in ambition is that, with the exception of one business entity, and it's about 5 years ago or so at max, no business in Nevis has expanded outside of Nevis. Not one. To the best of my knowledge, unless somebody knows differently, but all of our businesses are just remain between these 36 square miles and doesn't go any further, not even to think it.
But when you say expand, what do you mean? Because I know there are quite a few businesses in Nevis that offer and do have their services. I can think of a few of the air conditioning companies, for example, the water companies.
Well, as contractors, maybe there's as contractors, but let me say a branch.
Oh, yes, okay, all right, I got you now, I understand, okay.
Yeah. They do contract work, yes, that happens.
Yes.
But as a branch over, right? It does not happen.
But do you think, caller, I'm not trying to distract you from your point, but do you think that with transportation being as it is now, that it's necessary? You don't think that, for example, if you're offering an electrical service or AC service, or even as some of the chaps here manufacturing water, they are sending that over to St. Kitts. So what's the problem with them being based on Nevis but supplying the St. Kitts market?
Absolutely, there's no problem with it, sir.
Okay.
That is fine and well, but the idea, the point I'm trying to bring up, let's, for example, we have supermarkets. Rams predominantly was in St. Kitts and maybe beyond. They have expanded over to Nevis. In fact, all of our food suppliers, all of them are foreigners. Every last one. Every one in the supermarket are suppliers. The last supermarket that was owned by Nivision, so to say, was Superfood.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I heard my own ears, sir. That when it was closed, people, Nivisions rejoiced. Yes, the words like, let them take that and stuff like that. And so now we have to be our own food supply completely, exclusively upon foreigners, for the lack of a better word. I have no issue with foreigners at all. But the point is here that we tend to suppress each other as a people.
Why do you think that is? I agree with you. And I think it's unfortunate because you know what is one of the things that is a manifestation of that? I'll share a story with you. I have a good friend of mine, and he, a local guy, somebody who has pulled himself up by the bootstraps. And he came to me one time. He comes to me sometimes for a little advice here and there, business matters, legal matters. And he came to me one time and he said to me that his business was doing extremely well, and he saw a luxury Jeep that he wanted to buy. And he wanted to know from me whether or not he should. So my first question to him was, do you have the money? I mean, can you afford to buy it? He said, yes, man, I got the money. Business is good. And I said, okay, then you'll buy it. He said, well, he want the missus to sit down in something good, to drive something good, especially on a Sunday when they drive around. So I tell him, well, once you can afford to do it, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
About a month or two later, I saw him. I said, man, how the new vehicle working out? He said, boy, I didn't buy it, I said, why you didn't buy it? He said, boy, if people see me drive that, they're going to stop giving me the work. And that has always stayed with me. Because you have some people who are doing well, but they pretend they're not doing well because they don't want nobody stop giving them work or stop giving them business. There are people who would not use a particular contractor, particular lawyer, particular doctor, because like you say, they now make them rich. And I say to people all the time, we go and we buy at the Chinese store, we go and we whatever, we don't ever think whether we're making the Chinese man rich. And that is, so I agree with your point, and I'm curious sometimes as to why. How did we get here? Why is it we're not like other communities who try to build each other? We always seem, as you said, to rejoice. If you see somebody, you say, oh, he been a play big shot, watch him now. There's this thing about us, and I'm not sure why that is. Because we are sensible people, we are bright and capable people. So why it is we can't assist each other, and why it is that it seems somehow ingrained in us that if we see one of our own rising, that we want to suppress them. Why do you think that is?
Well, apart from cultural, I think it's just a spirit of jealousy. That's the best I can go.
But where did that culture come from? Because we trace our roots back to Africa, and in Africa, as I have heard it said, they had communities and the communities worked as one. So I'm not too understanding how we got to a point where when we see our fellow, I mean, you grew up in a village, all of you grew up not having much, some people poorer than others, but everybody poor. And then the minute that a couple of the fellows start to raise their head, the other fellows them start to vex with them. And so, it's that kind of thing. And so sometimes you have that separation that's created because of what you said. You call it grudge, but whatever the name that you're going to use, it exists. And I don't think we should shy away. I don't think what you're saying is far-fetched. I think it is a reality here, not just in Nevis, but in the region. And so the question is, how can we change that mentality?
Well, I'm not. One thing for sure that I suggest, I think that to change it, each person needs to take responsibility for his or her part or contributing to the guy. It does not. This kind of attitude and culture is not self-sustaining. It has to be supported by individuals and such. So individuals need to recognize that this is what we are doing to each other and take full responsibilities. And when we see it happening, we call it out. But it is rather difficult for actually to go against your own friend when your friend doing them make you thinking the same thing. Page 2, sir, on that matter. Page 2. I have a challenge with the way we think as a people, as education, with regards to education. Mind you, I am supporting being educated 100% times over. However, what I notice is that we highlight education a lot. And what I realize that the people who are highly educated, for the most part, like 90-something% of them are employees. They have the bachelor's, they have the doctorate, they have their masters and such like. but they end up being employees. The entrepreneurship is hardly encouraged. In fact, if you look at the on a very informal way of the majority of persons who are self-sustaining business or entrepreneurship and such like, many of them were maybe in third stream, or they were the underdogs in school. They did not do well as their counterparts or the classmates, and so they have to forge for themselves and start doing business, and they do tremendously well. And sometimes even financially by comparison, better than others who have been surpassed them as far as education. Let's take it a little further. The challenge I have in that culturally is that our main source of income, Caribbean-wise, regional-wise, is tourism. What tourists come for is sea, sand, and sun. Those three items, those are what we sell. But they are free. And the challenge is that when they come here, they stay in hotels. Most of the hotels in the Caribbean are owned by foreigners, not just by foreign nationals, but also of foreign race. And the thing is here, we are waiting. So oftentimes we have all of this here, and we're waiting for a foreigner or foreigners to come and build a hotel. And what is happening is that when slavery was aborted 200 plus years ago, or almost, our forefathers, when they said that they acted, they provide services. They were supposed to do cooks and cleaners and everything else, and gardeners and work in the field, and the tourism, etc. is the very same thing that is happening. That our people are employed to work in hotels and to be maids and to be servants and so on. That. Let me be clear, I am nowhere bashing the industry like that. That is not wrong. That is the mindset that we have. So the idea of going beyond what simply being an employee or being above being a servitude, it seems not to be there. We just encourage people to get an education. Why? So they get a job. Why? So you can work in the tourism industry or do something of that sort. So the whole culture of bringing down, keeping down people, it is far deep and wide. And so it challenges us now that, like I said, most of the hotels in the Caribbean are owned by foreigners. And that is sad. Why, how is it our local people are not encouraged, if any one of us here, as far as I know, Old Manor is for sale. As far as I know, Mrs. Grant, I don't know anything about that. Montpelier, I understand it was for sale at one time. And it is possible if a local person or persons were to get involved in that business, they're going to have a challenge. They're going to have a challenge. They have to employ foreigners to work for them or something of that sort, because we have this culture. You're not supposed to get rich off of me. How dare you get rich off of me? And we have the audacity to think like that. We have that audacity. Thank you, sir. I hope I made my point.
Yeah, man, caller, you made your point and you made it clearly. You're not going to get any argument from me because I think you talk with all, as the old people say. You are definitely onto something. I'm curious as to why that mentality exists, and I'm also curious as to how we can change it. Because I'll tell you, in my whole life, my father of blessed memory, Irvin Brantley, used to tell me, don't ever watch anybody for what they have. And so I am singularly uninterested in what people have. Rich, poor, drive car, walk, take bus, ride bicycle, it doesn't matter to me. I judge people as people. If you're a good person, you're a good person. If you're a bad person, you're a bad person, no matter how much money you have. And I know that throughout my life growing up, and I grew up very poor. But if I saw somebody with a car or with a little motorcycle or even a bicycle, you know what that used to do for me? It used to motivate me. I used to say, one of these days, I would like to have that. And I used to watch people who were successful and see the moves they made and how they conduct themselves. And I said, I want to emulate. And I'm the vision. So I know it is possible because that's who I am. I never grew up nowhere outside Nevis. So I don't think it is all of us who are like that you describe, but certainly I agree that there are some of us who are like that. And the question is really, how can we change that? How can we change that? And how can we get our people to support each other? Because you're right. Once a man doing a little barbecue and then people start to talk about his barbecue and how dare he go and buy a little car, worse if he go and he buy a little house. People start to watch the man funny and tell him, oh, you think you're going to benefit from me? I have said, and I've relayed the story more than once, caller, that one day I went to my letterbox and I met a letter. I don't even remember how long now, 6 or 8 pages, typewritten at that. And whoever sent me that letter, I hope they're listening tonight, because it's somebody who knew me very well. Because it traced my life nearly from, I could say, the day I was born. They could tell me about what I used to do in Hanley's Road, how I born in Scarborough, walk barefoot, go school. They told me that I moved to Brownhill and I used to take care of Luther Williams' goat and sheep with his son Sam, that I used to ride donkey up and down the place. I used to this, I used to that. Used to walk, go town to go school. All these things they could tell me. And then at the end of it they say, and now you're playing big shot. You're driving BMW and playing a big shot. And I thought it was a most interesting letter. Of course, it wasn't signed. But that somebody would take their time to type up 6 or 8 pages, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, and send it to me. And then when I read this thing, I said, but if all of those things are true, and frankly, all of them were true, because the person traced my own life from Hanley's Road to Brownhill and beyond. And I said, but if all those things are true, it is actually a story that should inspire people. Mm-hmm. Because if you knew that I come from Scarborough and I used to walk barefoot, go to school and not got enough to eat and take care of people, sheep and goat for them and that kind of thing, and I now reach a point where I can drive a BMW, because that's what they say. Why do you see that as me showing myself? Why can't you see it as, boy, this individual here went through what they went through, they worked hard, they scrambled, they did what they had to do, and they're now in a position which is better than where they were born or what they were born into. So sometimes, to my mind, you can be inspired by people's story, because what I found interesting about this letter, they never say I stole anything from anybody. They never said I was involved in criminal activity. They never said any of those things. I went to school. I was fortunate enough to have some good teachers that helped me. I won scholarships. I went to university. And I came back and I worked. So coming from where I come from and getting to where I got to should be a story that inspires people. Mm-hmm. But instead of that, this person took their time to write me a letter to tell me I play big shot because of what I was now driving. And it's almost sometimes as if people expect that, listen, if you used to walk barefoot because that's where you come from, if you used to sleep on raw grass, as we used to say, that's where you must stay, because the minute you raise your head above that, you're playing big, you're playing what you're not. And so that culture I think we need to get rid of, and we need to celebrate people's success and see people who are successful in whatever area, because success is not only measured in money, True. Success is measured in different ways, but in whatever way. You see a man go along there, he's a good family man, he's taking care of his children, he and his wife getting along well. You say, boy, I want to be like him. When I get a relationship, I want it to be like that. Nothing is wrong with that. So I think we need to celebrate each other, and that culture of celebrating each other, we have lost it somewhere along the line. We need to get it back. So I agree with you 100%, caller. Thank you for staying with me, but the banner struck up, it means I have to go.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for the engagement.
Yes, man. So we'll have to pick this up at some other time, because the DJ here put on the band early o'clock. Say, time to go home. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. Please remember that this Saturday at 7 p.m., our Literary and Debating Society is having an exciting debate at the Anglican Church Hall here in Charlestown. And also on Saturday, Nothing Like a Division Christmas Nivision holiday, nothing at all like it. Masquerade, local food, local drinks, lots of fun, big drum, you name it. You want to hear the sweetest fife in the land, you'll have to go to the Nivision Heritage Village. This Saturday starting at 2 p.m. Only $5 if you're 12 to 17 years old, $10 if you're over 17. If you're under 12, completely free. Take the entire family and go and really have some Nivision fun. Our brothers and sisters and Sinkits, we're inviting you to come over, please, and be a part of it. That's our show. Tune in tomorrow, please, to the Nevis Island Assembly, or come if you can and have a seat and listen to the debate. That's our show. Thank you. Good night, and God bless you.
And opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company.